Hi, Rohan. Thank you for joining us on SecretEntourage.com. Today, we get the pleasure of talking to you about franchising and how to grow a franchise from scratch. From what I understand, you are the owner of currently 12 Subway franchises, and you have another store, which makes you have 13 stores total for Wingstop. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so today we're going to be talking a little bit about how to grow a franchise and kind of a little bit about your story. So from what I understand, you used to work actually at a 24-hour fitness at the front desk. Is that correct?
Correct, in Houston.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about how you transitioned from working at the front desk of a fitness store into owning so many Subways?
Sure. In 2006 is when I kind of got out of high school. In 2005, I got out of high school. In 2006, I moved to Houston where my mom and dad live. And I kind of moved in with them. And they basically wanted me to go get a job full time. And I was going to college as well, majoring in mechanical engineering. So I started working at 24 Hour Fitness part-time initially, and then I eventually moved into full-time just to make a little bit extra cash on the side. My dad, not really my mom works for an oil company out in Houston called Ocean International, and my dad owns a Subway franchise in Louisiana, and he used to travel back and forth from Houston to Louisiana to take care of the business. And basically, over time, in 2008, he got to a point where he was burned out by the whole thing, and he was failing. You know, we were losing money. We were not doing so well. My dad tried to put up the locations for sale, and he got a bunch of lowball offers on the businesses, and you know, he could not afford to even sell it at that because he owed more than the offers he was getting. And I kind of talked to my parents about it, try to convince them to let me get into the business, and they were not having any of it. So, you know, I kind of forced them in a way to let me go try it out. You know, if it does not work out, we're still back in the same place. If it does, you know, more power to everybody. So I got down there, and in 6 months, I was able to turn the whole business around. We basically went from making 10% profit, if that, to going to over 22 to 23% in 6 months, which was a big turnaround for us. And that kind of gave us enough cash flow to put down on another location, which is when I took the business over and my dad wanted out. So we kind of made an agreement to where I will take over for the first location that he built out, 50% of that, I'll let him have it. I'll take over the rest, and then whatever I build from there on is all mine. So he was okay with that, and we kind of just grew from there. And today, 2013, you know, we've kind of grown ourselves to 12 locations, 12 Subways, and 1 Wingstop.
So let me ask you a question here. You said you grew the business from 10 to 22% in terms of profit margin.
Correct.
And that's a huge deal. I mean, for those of our readers and viewers who are listening, they may not know, but that's a really big deal. So that's a big jump in profit. So it's almost doubling the profits of a business.
Yes.
What was it specifically you've done that I guess your dad wasn't doing at the time, or how did you do such a turnaround in such a small amount of time? What were some of the steps you took that people can learn from?
The biggest thing was management, upper management. The managers of the stores were not trained properly to have control over their employees. What I was seeing is when we go into locations, there was no systems in place as to keeping track of inventory. There was no systems in place to keep track of, you know, in restaurant, in Subway, at the time, we have bread. Nothing can go out of the store without bread or salad bowl or something like that. So basically, we kept control of every little thing, keep track of every little thing in the store. So when things went missing, when things were, you know, not in place, we had control over that. So we basically created a system for us to make sure our management was trained to control everything. That's one thing. Secondly was customer service was our biggest thing. You know, in fast food restaurants, you know, we don't get the best employees in the world to come apply for us. So, you know, training them correctly to make sure that they could just give a better experience to the customers. Because Subway kind of sells itself, you know, it's a big brand. You don't need to do a lot of marketing on our end. Corporate takes care of most of that. So as an individual store, we just want to make sure we have clean restrooms, a clean location, and focus on customer service. And I think just those two simple things, if you take care of that properly, could turn things around, you know, 180. Obviously, it's not easy. It's easier said than done, but it took us a while, but we did it, you know, and we kind of have like a plan in place. We kind of know, like, when we get into a new location, what needs to be fixed right away. So it's easier now for us to expand because we kind of have the formula down, I guess.
So you pretty much influence service, inventory, and leadership management to
Correct.
grow the core of or to rectify the core of a business before you could actually go into more locations. So what does it take to own a Subway? Like, what kind of dollar amount should someone invest or look to invest, and what kind of time frame does it take for a franchise business like Subway to become successful?
Well, it's, right now, Subway in particular, we have about almost we're closing in to 38,000 locations worldwide. And to get into the Subway restaurant business right now from scratch is extremely difficult because you have so many current franchisees like me and other people in the country that want to expand as well, So when a new location does pop up, 9 out of 10 times, they prefer going with the existing franchisee. But if you want to start from scratch, there's always availability. If you find a location which you think will be profitable for a Subway, which you think is best, and Subway, say, accepts your location, the startup cost for an average location is anywhere between 125 to 175,000, depending on square footage and that kind of thing. But roughly on that should be able to start you off from scratch. And what else do you need? I think, 175,000 should be plenty to start from scratch.
So 175,000 is a lot of money for someone that's fairly young, right? Do franchises offer opportunities to funnel that cost into the revenue or to finance it, perhaps?
Absolutely. Subway is so big right now. Financing is extremely simple with Subway. If you are starting up, all they need, it would be easier to get a loan on an existing location with Subway because the banks know these locations have been open and they're not going anywhere. And, you can get a Subway now, depending on which part of the country you're at, between 65 to 75% of sales. And banks, as long as you put 20% down, the bank should be able to finance you pretty easily.
So you need just about 20 to 30% down in order to be able to have a good baseline to start.
Correct.
Okay, so you don't actually need to have 200 grand saved up to be able to get into a Subway.
It really depends. Now, if you're buying a location that's doing extremely well, which is doing $50,000, $60,000 a week in sales, which is extremely high in Subway terms, those locations those locations will easily be anywhere with $2 million to own,
Right.
So obviously, you're going to need a big down payment for that. But an average Subway in the country does about $10,000 a week, average. So with that being said, you could base your numbers off of that.
Okay, very good. So tell me a little bit more about how you continue to grow. I mean, that was 3 to 4 locations. Now you have 12. Correct. What has been attributed to that huge boost or success? Because I think you've had this for less than 5 years now.
5 years, yeah. Now, in fact, this year itself, I'm buying my 12th Subway, correct, in June. And once I take over that location, I'm not going to do any more growth until 2014. I'm actually going to restructure my company for even more growth because right now we have store managers and we have one general manager and me, and we have a full-time accountant. What we're doing is we want to make sure that all our stores are getting the same amount of attention as we used to back in the day. So Adam actually hired this new guy. He's big into Subway from El Salvador, and I hired him. I got his visa, he's actually starting here June 4th. And what we're doing is I'm putting him in 6 locations, and I'm putting the other manager that I have in 6 locations. And so basically they're watching over 6 locations full time. And we actually training now. Every time we're growing, for every 5 to 8 locations, depending on distance of locations, we are putting a general manager in place to watch over them. And that makes it a lot easier because now, as the owner of the locations, I'm not really going into my stores. I'm dealing with the upper management over there, and they're ensuring the stores are running the way they should. So that makes it a lot easier for me to focus on what needs to be focused on, which is growth and expansion.
You said something really important here. You said you want to kind of slow down your growth. Now, you don't hear that a lot in business. Everybody always wants more, right?
Yes.
What is it specifically that makes a lot of sense? I mean, you want to focus on quality control and make sure that...
Yeah, you don't want to grow too fast and ruin everything. You want to make sure you have... because see, I can't go purchase stores without Subway approving me to buy stores, which means every time I buy a Subway store, they're going to look at the way I'm running my operations. So even though I own the stores, I have somebody watching me to make sure. Kind of it's good for me because they're watching me to make sure I'm running my stores the way they should, because obviously they don't want me buying more stores and all my stores are not operating the way they should.
Right.
Which is why, I want to take a step back, ensure that my stores are running the way they should. So in the future, say 5, 6 locations come up to sale at one time,